This is our American Time Capsule Kepler broadcast project by Amanda Balgobin and Janet Profitera.
Thomas Paine was a man that united the people of America together at a time when their beliefs were scattered, specifically on whether to band together to overthrow Britain or peacefully settle with its controlling methods. With the publishing of his book Common Sense in 1776, he formulated ideas and concepts that came to define American values and mindsets from the Revolutionary period to the present, with principles of democracy as building blocks of government and society as a whole. For example, using powerful language to demote Britain's sense of control to the then colonists, along with introducing long lasting tenets like the importance of representative government and the natural rights theory, were only some of the tactics Paine used to rally the colonists in his favor, which he did successfully. For example, one quote from Common Sense that proved to be persuasive to the colonists was, "Small islands, not capable of protecting themselves, are the proper objects for kingdoms to take under their care. But there is something absurd in supposing a continent to be perpetually governed by an island." This quote opened colonists' eyes to the notion that they were being controlled by an entity leagues smaller than their entire nation, but with much more force than they themselves could withstand. This realization guided many colonists into supporting the Patriot perspective, in which overthrowing Britain in its absurd control could benefit the nation overall. To other nations and peoples, this document largely represents one of the first times America has truly gained a shared sentiment under one cause. Thomas Paine's power under Common Sense to unite the people of America with his words marked a point in history where America could be characterized as a nation with values of equality, democracy, and representation. We chose Thomas Paine's Common Sense because of its influence to form America and its core values, still remaining in place to this day.
The steam engine was first created by Thomas Savery, but then improved by James Watt. This steam engine played a large role in the Industrial Revolution and allowed for other inventions to be made, such as computers and cars. The steam engine also helped create advances in manufacturing, agriculture, and transportation. The many factories in the Northeast would not have been possible if it weren't for the steam engine. We chose this artifact because it is relevant to the Industrial Revolution and changed many aspects of society. It influenced the northern factories and how certain things were manufactured. For example, it allowed for more products to be made, which increased production and the profit. It also allowed for the United States to become one of the largest manufacturers in the world at the time.
For other possible worlds and societies, the steam engine reveals a shift in how economic matters were handled in America, forever changing society to become more modern and technology based. Since it provided a new source of power for the industry at a time where it was industrializing extremely quickly, the economy could conduct much more efficiently and still today utilizes steam power to fuel its economy. It also represents an increased effort by the U.S. to create technology this complex, revealing our prevailing knowledge and ability to industrialize, characterizing America as a nation that is always seeking to better itself and improve the quality of life for its people. The Statue of Liberty was built for the purpose of unity, to not only strengthen the bond between France and the U.S., but to strengthen America's core values in a single statue, one that symbolizes freedom, power, democracy, and hope. With its presence in Ellis Island, New York, it gave hope and faith to its European immigrants while also reminding its people later on that they embody strength and courage after suffering the events of 9/11. Since its construction, the Statue of Liberty has symbolized both growth and power, giving its viewers a reminder that the U.S. stands strong, no matter the circumstances. To other nations, the Statue of Liberty is a symbol that represents what America believes in, offering a direct representation as to what we stand for and why we stand as strong as we do. Providing a sense of freedom to America's refugees, reminding them that they are welcomed under the country, while also providing a sense of freedom to prior slaves after becoming emancipated, the Statue of Liberty has become an artifact that holds significance to many events in America's history and represents its core principles of representation and democracy, from its construction to its presence today. We chose the Statue of Liberty as our artistic artifact because it embodies what America believes in to the people viewing it. taking a stance of welcoming and appreciation while also representing the struggles our nation has dealt with throughout its history, taking that fear and turning it into courage.
Harriet Tubman was a very important woman that had great effects on American society. She was an escaped slave that became an influential conductor on the Underground Railroad. This Underground Railroad allowed her to help slaves escape through a series of secret houses and safety routes. She was an advocate for the freedom of slaves and also a women's rights supporter. She worked with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony in the fight for women's suffrage. She also served as a Union spy and would collect information from slaves in the Confederate Army, which ultimately helped the Union Army towards victory. Harriet Tubman took action against what she thought was wrong and symbolized freedom and courage in a time of hardship. She is a very inspirational figure in history because she fought for what she believed in and risked her life so that slaves could live theirs in freedom. We chose Harriet Tubman because of her determination and influence within social movements, which showed how one person could have an impact within a country and make a difference. During the Great Migration in the early 20th century, many African Americans moved north in order to start a new life away from slavery in a more tolerant society. These African Americans sought to form a new identity as people as they were emancipated and escaped slavery in the South. Harlem became a growing city and had one of the largest rates of black residents. This population allowed for a social and cultural transformation, attracting artists and great minds. The Harlem Renaissance included all art forms, such as poetry, painting, sculpture, jazz, opera, and dance. This cultural movement created a new mindset for African Americans and allowed them to take pride in their culture and identity. Many African Americans own their own businesses, publishing houses, nightclubs, and music companies. Many of the creations that took place in the Harlem Renaissance were recognized by blacks, whites, and even worldwide. This influenced the way in which some people perceived African Americans and was a large step in the eyes of many. The Harlem Renaissance came to a close as the stock market crashed and the Great Depression started. This caused businesses to close and shifted the attention away from the art. This movement had a large impact on society's views of African Americans and the African American identity. This new identity challenged the Jim Crow ideals of the South and changed the way in which people viewed African Americans and their experience. We chose this event because the Harlem Renaissance had a large impact on African American identity and their roles within society. It also showed how the American society was starting to change and how a new culture and unification was emerging. African Americans began to take pride in their race and culture as it was changing immensely during this time. This movement is universally significant because it shows a shift in society and a unification of people through strength, dignity, and self-determination. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and here is our works cited.